Birkenstock review, take one.
Probably won't work, but I'll give it a shot.
Okay, so I wanted to do a review of these Birkenstocks. These Birkenstocks. These Birkenstocks.
Birkenstock review, take two.
Birkenstock. I try to do an intro that I just find fun. Just zany. I try to do a zany intro every time I make a video. That was the best I had today. So the real question is, are Birkenstocks worth the money? And, you know, short answer, yes. Most things I'm gonna review on this channel, which you should subscribe to and like if you want to. That would help me out a ton because I hate my job. Before I go into the actual specifics of these sandals, I wanna give you a little, let me turn the fan on, 1 second. Also, this chair, I ended up moving back home because there's a pandemic going on and I figured I'm gonna have a mental breakdown soon, so I should go home. But I got this chair, my parents gave me this computer chair, so I have a lot of flexibility now, really upgrading the studio space here. I want to kind of give some history about Birkenstocks because I do this thing a lot where if I don't know a company and then I notice a company, I always think they started up like last week. Like I thought the North Face was like 2 or 3 years old. It is much older than that. Okay, anyway, so history of Birkenstocks, I'm gonna try and do it in one cut. In the 1770s in Germany, there was Johann Birkenstock. He was a vassal and shoemaker, and that was in like the church directories, and you know, he was doing shoes and all of that. Then in 1864, I believe, his great-great-grandson was the first to make a contoured footbed, which was super important. Then in 1964, I definitely have the dates messed up, so I'll correct those, but in 1964, we have the first invention of the Birkenstock sandal, which was when Birkenstock actually combined their footbeds with a shoe. So it looked pretty similar to this. It had 3 straps, which you can still buy today, but that's kind of when everything blew up. It started off with young men, and then it really kind of took charge in the flower child hippie movement, and everybody was wearing Birkenstocks, and that's still kind of a thing today. The fashion of Birkenstocks is very much like laid back, hipster, you know, big wool socks and jeans and stuff like that. But they got so big because obviously they're, you know, they're wide, they're comfortable, but that was the biggest thing. They're comfortable and they have these cork footbeds, so as you walk, they conform to your feet. And I can personally attest to the fact that they are pretty comfortable. Everybody says like, oh my god, my Birkenstocks are so comfortable. But I haven't noticed anything like that. To be honest, I feel like I'm foot blind because people are always like, try these shoes on, they're so comfortable. And they feel like shoes. They're comfy, they're not anything crazy yet. To be fair, I haven't broken them in fully. I've only had them for like 2 weeks, so I will update if they get to be that incredible. The thing that's really important that everybody always asks about is sizing. I'm a size 8 in the US and I got a size 40 Birkenstock and it fits fine. The only thing is I have like really narrow, thin feet. They're kind of like little pincers. When I run around, I like run around like that. You know, like, what's that Pokemon? Slifer? I don't remember. I just remember when I was a kid, there was one Pokemon that went Slifer! I have really narrow feet, and I was gonna get the narrow Birkenstocks, because there are those. And I ended up going to a department store, and I said, do you have Birkenstocks in a size 40? I was gonna get the narrow versions, because those would honestly probably fit me better, but they look like an egg, and I was just not about that life at all. So I went regular. I also tried on women's Birkenstocks, just to see. They're basically the same. They're a little narrower and a little shorter. I guess the word is smaller, is what I'm trying to think of. So, I mean, if you have really small feet, definitely maybe try the women's. They were just a little too small for me, too narrow especially, but yeah, normal works fine for me. Nothing crazy. The only thing that is crazy is my feet are very like slim. I don't know how to describe it. I ended up having to punch another hole in the straps. Basically, I did the same distance between the holes. I needed one more to feel satisfied. But that could also really just kind of be a me thing. These are my first pair of sandals since I was like 8 years old. I really like shoes because I feel like if I need to escape from a predator, I can just beeline. Sandals, they fall off and it drives me crazy. I actually was walking with my girlfriend and these Birkenstocks kept falling off if I didn't like talon my feet down into them, and it was driving me nuts. So then we went back and punched holes, and they're doing a lot better. In terms of break-in, I heard a lot of people say, you know, they're really tough to break in or this and that. I honestly thought that they meant the footbed was really tough to break in, but I don't think that's true. I think it's the straps actually that need to be broken in. And to be fair, I have these really tight, but even before that, they were cutting the tops of my feet and the bottom of my feet were fine. So maybe there's a secondary break-in period with the footbeds, but nothing that I've really noticed. They were about as stiff as a board when I first got them, and now they're flexing up a little bit. So they break in over time and, you know, they're only gonna get more comfortable. I really love to wear them with socks. It's still summer, so I haven't had an opportunity to wear them with socks a lot, but when I do, oh boy, those are some good sandals. Obviously, the big standout star of a Birkenstock is, you know, one, the style. They're very stylish right now, and it's a big shift for me because I usually like stuff that is very utilitarian and like will last forever or has these like cool characteristics. Not saying that the Birkenstocks don't or won't last forever, but they're not like a boot or a shoe or a jacket or something like that. They're a little more casual, I guess. I know that it doesn't really, I know I'm kind of spewing hot garbage is what I'm trying to say. So quick little breakdown of what they're made out of. You should also watch Rose Anvil's video where he just cuts one of these in half. Don't leave my video, but you should watch that too because that's pretty cool. Really quick rundown, they're super simple. You have an EVA foam bottom here, you have cork here, you have leather or Birkenbuck, which is a synthetic leather, or I think that's it. And then you have suede here, and then you kind of have these faux copper buckles. And that's the whole shoe. The star of the show for Birkenstocks is the cork though. That's kind of what set them apart way back when, and that's kind of still what sets them apart now. And Birkenstock, I should also briefly mention, is a cool company, or you know, they seem like a cool company. Everything they say is really cool. They use sustainable products, they seem to be eco-conscious. He devoted them the most friendly shoe company, which I thought was interesting because, you know, these are leather, but who knows? I don't really know all the ins and outs of that. I just know that Birkenstock is kind of doing a good thing here. Okay, so like I said, the star of the show, cork. Cork is really interesting because it's not the toughest thing out there, but cork is really cool. I just been looking into cork. It's fire retardant, it's almost water impermeable, it's a great renewable resource because they strip the bark off, but the tree can keep growing, and every 9 years they strip more bark off. And you should also look up how they get cork, because cork trees can be like 300 years old, and they pull the cork off like that thick and they pry it off. It's really satisfying to watch. It's also really good because, you know, it's squishy and it kind of forms to what's pushing down on it, that being your feet in these. So that's why it kind of gets comfortable, and that's why Birkenstocks kind of have that reputation, because it conforms to you really well and better than a lot of different materials. Now, cork is also not the strongest material. It's not this robust thing. You know, you can pick it apart. If you've had a wine bottle, the cork can get soaked and stuff like that, and then, you know, it crumbles. So what Birkenstock does is they cover the outside in Cork Sealant. I don't know what that is made out of. I would think it would be a synthetic material, but since Birkenstock seems so forward about sustainability, I don't think that's what it is, but I really don't know. The outside of the cork that's exposed is covered in that. That's why it kind of looks like it's like asphalt that's brown. So that's what that is. And they also sell cork sealant on its own. So if you want to keep your Birkenstocks up and make sure that cork doesn't dry out so you can extend the life of them, then you should probably get some cork sealant and, you know, apply it when it starts to look dull or it's not really there. I'm pretty sure the Birkenstock is just all glued together, and I can't tell if this is excess sealant or glue kind of leaking out of the seams, but there are these little chunks of sealant or, you know, something there that looks kind of messy. It's fine with me. It's kind of the Birkenstock ethos to not be perfect, which they actually say in their website. They say that the Birkenstock has self-edges, which is kind of weird. That makes me think of jeans with selvage, which, you know, came from self-edge. But with the leather, I think basically what they're saying is that the edges of the leather that's cut for the sandals isn't sealed with leather edge paint or anything like that. So it's just the raw leather. The top of my Birkenstocks is leather. It's nubuck leather. So they take leather, they buff the top, kind of smooth it out, get all the grains out, and it has this like peach fuzz feeling. Like if you're holding a peach, it kind of feels like that. That's what this is. So it kind of sacrifices water permeability for, I guess, that look or correctness. And to kind of keep it a little bit more water repellent, they oil the leather so it stays supple and, you know, doesn't dry out as easy. You kind of just have to work on not drying the Birkenstocks out. You don't want to dry out the cork, you don't want to dry out the leather, and you don't want to dry out the suede, although suede you can kind of, you know, just walk on and it'll be fine. Now, even though I also said that, you know, cork is impermeable to water, their sealant, this leather is treated for a little bit more water resistance and stuff like that, EVA on the bottom. Birkenstocks are really not meant to get wet that much, or if at all. If it's raining and you're walking with them, that's fine, but, you know, don't go hopping in puddles. If it is raining, maybe consider a different pair of shoes, just because they're not water shoes first and foremost. If you want that style and you want it to be able to get wet, I suggest the Birkenstock EVAs. Those are actually, I may get those. I think those look cool. They're basically made out of the same thing as Crocs. Those are a lot better for the water. So anyways, there's really not too much I can say about Birkenstocks because, you know, they're simple and they're good. That's kind of their whole thing. The brand seems really cool. This is more testimonial based, obviously, because I just got these like 2 weeks ago, but they last a really long time, even without care. If you care for them, I bet they'll last even longer. What I kind of see is they only break down when people's heels start to wear through the actual footbed itself, and then, you know, get a new pair by then. You deserve it. There are always more expensive versions. There's actually, I think there's a luxury version of Birkenstocks. They're like $400. I don't know what it is about those that makes them that much, but that's something to look into and something I'll check out. Probably not to buy unless they send them to me for free, but still pretty cool. You could also get sterling silver buckles from Good Art Hollywood. That would be fun. I've only had these for like 2 weeks. They look great with all my outfits. They look better with jeans, but I think, you know, everything looks better with pants. They've broken in really nicely, stick true to size, and you should have a great time, and, you know, they should last you years. So anyways,